we'll do English first and then a little bit in Dutch after.
Okay, no worries. Kian, congratulations.
Thank
Off,
you,
off
Phil.
and running. Little bit of rust there, but by the look of it, was this the first time you've picked a dart up since the World Championship final?
Not the first time, but it felt like the second time. Since the World Final, the day after, I had an exhibition, and then afterwards I went on a holiday. I probably practiced for about 30 minutes afterwards, so felt a bit rusty. But it's always good to be back on stage, and even though it was a bit rusty, I'm still happy with the win.
What's the feeling been like since the World Championship? Have you had a time to take it in and digest everything? What you achieved at Alexandra Palace during the Worlds?
Not really, to be honest. I've been back home for about 2 days, and then afterwards, as I said, straight to a holiday. So I just enjoyed it. I just enjoyed everything that came up to me. Um, but it's been, of course, Alexandra Palace was one hell of a ride, and I enjoyed every single moment of it. But I think once I get back home, back into the Player Championship, European Tours, get back into the full rhythm, I think that's when it will start to sink in.
How are you going to balance all this? Because you touched on there Pro Tours, European Tours, something that you don't miss, but trying to balance that with World Series, Premier League, and everything that comes with it. Have you looked at how you're going to manage that?
A little bit. I've got a meeting planned with my management for next week, after Saudi Arabia, and I get back home to see what we're going to play, what we're not going to play. Being from Holland, probably all the tournaments in Germany, European tours, and all that stuff I'm going to play. But I can't play all 34 player championship, of course. Especially during the Premier League, I'm not going to play every pro tour, but I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy every tournament I'm playing. But yeah, as I said, it's going to be a busy schedule, so I need to manage it.
On the Premier League, how excited are you to make your debut in that tournament?
Very excited. It's only a couple of weeks away. Being here in Bahrain is already fantastic, but of course, my eyes already on the Premier League first week in Newcastle. Normally, they're going to put the repeat of the World Championship final first week, so I'm looking forward to that. But the Premier League is, of course, a dream coming true playing in that tournament, and I'm very, very much looking forward to it.
Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
Well done, Jan. Look, a lot of travelling to be done at the start of the year with Bahrain and then Saudi Arabia. This is what the year's going to be like, isn't it? A lot of travelling for you.
I think so, but me being an aviation enthusiast, I don't mind traveling. So I love being in a plane. I love being in airports. I look out the window and I can be there for a couple of hours. So I don't mind traveling. So of course it's nice to be back, be at home. But here, being in Bahrain, it's fantastic. First time here, and I'm enjoying every minute of it.
It's still less than 2 weeks since the World Championship final. Have you actually had time to relax and not think about darts for a couple of days since then?
A little bit. I enjoyed a couple of days in the sun in Dubai last week with my girlfriend. But as much as I'm a dart player, I'm also a darts fan. So even though I was laying in the sun, I was already looking on Dart Connect, following Q School, who was going to be on the Pro Tour next year with me. But I enjoyed, of course, the World Championship. But I also enjoyed a couple of days off.
It obviously didn't go your way in that world final. It was a great tournament for yourself overall, though. Have you been able to watch back any of those moments? You say you're a darts fan and you watch a lot of darts, and have you been able to watch back and sort of see maybe what went wrong or things you can learn from?
Not the full match. I've watched a couple of highlights posted on the PDC YouTube channel from all the games, but not the full matches. But it's, of course, being that long matches, there wasn't too much time left. But I know what I need to do better next year. But also, I just enjoyed it, especially the quarterfinal, semi-final, final was 3 hectic days. Looking back at it, was maybe a bit too hectic for myself, but it's another learning experience. Luke had that 2 years ago as well. He knows what it's like to lose in a final, win a final. So he was probably more experienced in that final. But it's part of the game, and I've enjoyed the full experience, even getting smashed in the final.
Okay, thank you, Sean.
No worries, mate.
Hello, Gian. You describe yourself as an aviation enthusiast. Do you think that would give you an advantage? Because when we speak to a lot of players, they say that the worst part about being a dart player is all of the traveling and it drains them. Whereas if you embrace that, do you think that'll help you as the season goes on, especially with the Premier League and World Series and stuff?
Maybe, yeah, I think so. Looking at the other players, they hate spending time in the airport, and as I said, when I look out the window, I see all the aircrafts, all the different airlines, especially like, of course, Amsterdam. I know all of them, but here in Bahrain, when I was in Dubai for a holiday, I look out the window, I see all different airlines, and I get excited because that's who I am. I just love spending time watching airplanes, and I think, especially for next year, it's going to help me. All the different cities we go to, all the hours we spend in the airport. I don't mind it. Of course, I love being home with my girlfriend. I've got a beautiful dog back at home, so I love spending time with him as well. But also, being 23 years old, this is my dream, and my dream is coming true right now, and I enjoy every moment of it. And I don't mind spending the time traveling.
When you're in these World Series events and when you'll be in the Premier League, you'll be around a lot of people who experience this for quite a long time. They almost belong there. I remember at the World Championship, you sort of reluctant to say that you're part of the elite, but do you feel like that you belong in Bahrain, in Saudi, in the Premier League, or do you still feel like a bit of an outsider trying to come in almost?
A bit of both. I think, if I'm speaking truly from my heart, I still feel like a bit of an outsider, but I know what I'm capable of. I know what I've shown in 2025, and I know I'm part of the elite group of dart players at the moment. But it's all very new to me, and it still feels very new. Even being here with all, of course, I know every player here, and with all the top players, but I still feel privileged to be here. Even yesterday with the draw and all the meetings, meet and greets, signing stuff, it just feels weird being announced as second to last or third to last player on stage. It's still very 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 new to me, but I'm enjoying it so much. And but yeah, I know I belong here.
Thank you, Gian. Good luck tomorrow.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Evening, Gian. Great to see you again, and great to see you, Gnocchi. Congratulations on your win today. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I may have misheard that. Did I hear you say you played an exhibition event straight after the final?
Correct. Yeah, I went. Yeah, on Saturday I lost the final. Sunday afternoon I flew to Cologne and I played an exhibition there on Sunday evening. Yeah.
How did that feel? Playing straight after the final, because after a difficult match like that, if I was in your position, I think the last thing I would have wanted to do would have been to pick up a set of darts and play again. So how did that get arranged? Was that just an unfortunate coincidence at the time? And how did you feel going out there to play after that game?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. I probably heard it when I beat Gary Anderson in the semi-final after that game. It was like, you're invited Sunday evening. But it was in Germany for a German large crowd for German TV. All the top players, Mike Mago and Luke Humphreys, Nathan Aspinall, Stephen Bunting, they were all there, and I got an invite. I was like, okay, of course. I lost the fight. I was always gutted about that, but it's part of the job. And also, those exhibitions are part of the job. It's so I enjoyed that night, but it was a very hectic day.
I was good to know that you enjoyed it anyway. So excuse me. Just coming back to Littler, straight after he finished second in his first World Championship, he went on and he won the Bahrain Masters, and then he got more momentum and won the Premier League. Are you sort of seeing this next 6 months as your opportunity to do that? Because that was the time period where he really announced himself as a world-class player rather than like a one-hit wonder at Ali Pali.
Not really. Of course, Luke Littler, when he made the World Championship final, he bursted onto the scene. I lost to him in the Youth World Championship final a couple of weeks before that, but probably the real dart fans knew about him, but the other dart fans, they just watched the majors, they didn't know about him. So he burst onto the scene. But for me, it was very different. And of course, I want to play well here in Bahrain. I want to win the Premier League. I want to win this tournament, but I don't compare myself to Luke Littler. If I do, it'll be a very, very disappointing year. So I'm just playing my own game and just enjoying all the tournaments I get to play in this year. And hopefully it's going to be a great year.
You are now the world's number 3. So if anything, you are 100% a scalp for people to come and claim in, not just in like the majors, but in all the other tournaments as well. Compared to this time last year, are you feeling any different?
Not really. Of course, there's a bit more pressure on me. playing in these kind of tournaments to get the invites for these kind of tournaments. There's always going to be more pressure. But it's so far, when the majors haven't started, maybe in the majors it's going to be different in the World Masters, in the UK Open, stuff like that. But for now, I don't feel much different. I just feel the same guy I was 12 months ago. But of course, to play here in Bahrain is fantastic.
Just one final one for me. I know you've pretty much played all of the big players and claimed victories against more or less all of them as well. But in terms of going into the Premier League, where you're going to be playing against Littler, Humphreys, all the others, pretty much on a weekly basis in some of the biggest venues in the sport, how important do you think that experience will be, win, lose or draw?
Very important. Not even playing them. As you said, I've played all of them. I've played them many times, but it's also in front of tens of thousands of people, 10, 12,000 here, 15,000 there. The one I'm very much looking forward to is Rotterdam, of course, being from the Netherlands. That's going to be a hell of an experience, but it's, especially playing Luke Humphreys, Luke Littler, Michael Van Gerwen. Even when I'm playing them now, I feel a little bit nervous, of course, because the players they are, but I'm going to play them week in, week out. I'm going to get so much more experience in all those games, and I think that's going to benefit my game for the rest of my career.
Congratulations, Gian. All the best for the rest of the year as well.
Thank you.
Jan, thanks for your time. Good to see you again after
Good to
Ali
see you,
Pali. I mean, it was only twice it's happened where you've cut yourself with the things. I just wondered not that you would have done a review after the World Championships, but did you try to work out how it happened? Stop it happening again, because it seems to happen in the most
Not
important
really,
moments of
because
your life.
it's happened twice, and it's happened twice in the final. So if it happens in the final major, I hope it happens every time, because that means I'll get to the final. But I think my family and my friends will say I'm a bit clumsy, so I think that's why it happened. It's probably in the excitement of the match and the stress of the match that kind of things happen. But it's life, and I don't look back at it too much and think, oh, maybe I should do this different next time. It's happened.
Have you watched back the final? Would you put yourself through it again, try and work out what you did wrong?
No, not at all. I just, as soon as Luke Littler hit the double 15 to win the world title, I was like, okay, he was the better player today. That's it. I know I missed one dart to go 2-0 up in sets. Maybe it would have been a different game, but I also acknowledge that Luke Littler is a fantastic player. He's probably from a different planet. He's leagues above the others, and that's fine. I know I can beat him, but not on that day. So it happened.
Oh yeah, I thought you were very classy in how you approached that final, how you sort of digested that to all the media. It was difficult as a result, but you managed to really sort of articulate it well. Do you think Littler's someone you can get over 6 legs? Over the shorter distance, someone can, take him down a little bit. He is unbeatable, but actually over the shorter distances, people have a chance, don't they?
Yeah, for sure. A shorter distance, you always got a chance, but even the longer distance, as I said, I missed one dart to go 2-0 up, then maybe he would have started thinking differently. I think, especially in set format, of course, he's the back-to-back world champion, but I think set format is always a little bit easier to beat a very, very top player, because you can have a couple of sets maybe off, especially in the long format, but in leg format, he's always going to be tough to beat. But yeah, as you said, even here in Bahrain, when it's best of 11, best of 13, or best of 15 in the final, it's a little bit easier to beat him.
The PDC just finally announced on TV that it's $200,000 to the first person that hits a 9-darter in Saudi and then gets the 10-darter. So if you get $100,000, you get 9 darts, and then you get an extra if you can get the golden ball, if you get the bullseye. Basically, it's a gimmick, but it's a lot of money. Basically, do you fancy that?
Yeah, I saw that. It is a lot of money. Oop, we're in the dark.
I need the money for the lights, clearly. Bloody hell.
It is a lot of money, but at the World Championship there was already £60,000 on the on the 9-darter. No one hit it, so hopefully in Saudi it's going to be different, but it's going to be very difficult. The 9-darter is always difficult, but it's a very nice bonus, and hopefully someone gets it.
And the problem is, you would get the 9-darter, you celebrate. Oh, Christ, I've then got to throw again. That adrenaline's gone out.
Hopefully we get a couple of minutes off. Yeah. We'll need it.
Good man. Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.
Yes, mate. No worries.
Is nu aan mij de beurt, denk ik zo. Ik zal het kort houden, Gian.
Ja, geen probleem.